Last night, Manchester United were beat 4-3 by Bayern Munich. It's our fourth defeat in just 6 matches this season, and the pressure it's piling on to Erik Ten Hag and his coaching staff. But what I want to ask you guys, what we're hopefully going to establish in this video is this solely the fault of the manager? Look, I don't think any Manchester United fan out there solely thinks that Erik Ten Hag is the problem at Manchester United. We can't just say, let's go point at De Zerbi and bring De Zerbi in to be manager and all the problems will be solved. This is the exact same cycle we have found ourselves in for the last 10 years. When David Moyes was the manager, we were told all we needed was a proper manager and Manchester United would be back. We brought in Louis van Gaal. Then we were told once Louis van Gaal goes and a proper winner is brought in, Manchester United will be back. We brought in Jose Mourinho. Then we brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when we were told Mourinho is Wes, he's stuck in the past, he's alienating the players, they need a friendlier face at Manchester United. And then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked and we were told we needed a new up-and-coming manager, fresh ideas, with a proven track record and a manager who will be able to put things back on track. And we brought in Erik Ten Hag. I think there's a lot of lessons we can learn from Manchester United across the last 10 years. And I think to solely say that this is the fault of the manager, I think it would really be doing a miscarriage of justice in terms of accountability, in terms of who we as a fan base perceive to be the problem at Manchester United. Is there problems with Erik Ten Hag's management style? Does he make some bad decisions on the pitch? Are his tactics always spot on? No, they're not. Are his substitutes on time? They're definitely not. But what I want to do is paint an overall picture of the real problems at Manchester United. The other night on a stream, I had asked the audience, of course, what is the main problem at Manchester United? In that, there was 4 potential options. The Glazer family, the manager, the players and the board. I think all have their own part to play in the downfall of this club over the last 10 years, over the struggling we see so far in this season. So look, let's first and foremost look at the players, because fundamentally what happens on the pitch, a lot of it's determined by the players' work rate. A lot of it's determined by the players' effort levels and what they can do and what they're capable of as a squad. I think when we look across the last couple of matches against Brighton, against Bayern, we've been walked through in midfield too many times. Players unwilling to put a foot in, players unwilling to track back. We look at the forward line, there's massive problems there. Rasmus Højlund has come in completely starved of service. He has scored against Bayern Munich last night, so congratulations to him, of course. But what my problem is, when we look at the balance of that forward line, there's big issues in there. Only cast your mind back to the Brighton match. Marcus Rashford had 9 shots in that match. That's not going to help any forward line click. When we played last night against Bayern Munich, we threw Facundo Pellistri in due to a lack of options, and he did okay. But fundamentally, there are big problems in that Manchester United team. I think when we turn up to the Allianz Arena with only 3 fit centre-backs, one of them being Johnny Evans, 36 years old, was relegated last year at Leicester City, was let go because his contract ran out, I think you're asking for trouble. I think when the only possible midfield sub you can make is Scott McTominay, he is not good enough for this team, I think you're in trouble. But a lot of that we do also put onto the manager. I think, yes, Erik Ten Hag has made problems of his own making this season. I think some of the substitutes, they haven't made sense. I think there are issues in his game management style that he does need to address, and some of his talent ID has been sorely lacking. But is this an Erik Ten Hag problem? Yes, it is, because he's the manager right now. But at the same time, how many big players have we signed over the last 10 years? How many transfers have not worked out over the last 10 years? How many managers have not worked out over the last 10 years? I think we're looking at a lot, guys. We really are. I think fundamentally things are broken on 4 levels at Manchester United. There is no doubt in my mind about this. I think the drop off in quality of performances from last season to this season has been nothing short of extraordinary. Do we put this down to a small squad, overplayed last season, playing 62 matches across that campaign, and all that burnout is catching up with the team now? Is that something we realistically can blame it on? I don't know, because 12 injuries after 6 matches seems extreme. It seems unheard of. There are big issues in terms of the playing stuff. Erik Ten Hag does need to do better. There are players on that pitch who shouldn't be there and who do deserve to be dropped. Marcus Rashford, in my opinion, should not be untouchable. Bruno Fernandes should not be untouchable. No player should be. And ultimately what happens on the pitch, it stops and ends with the manager. He is the man ultimately responsible. And if results carry on in this fashion, Erik Ten Hag will be sacked. But my question to you guys is, we bring in De Zerbi, for instance, just for example, if we bring in De Zerbi, we sack Erik Ten Hag right now. If we bring in De Zerbi, does he change things at Manchester United? Does he really fix things? What would De Zerbi have that Moyes didn't have, that Van Gaal didn't have, that Mourinho didn't have, Solskjaer didn't have, Ten Hag didn't have, or even Ralf Rangnick didn't have? I think the issues are far, far deeper rooted at Manchester United. So I want to look above the playing staff. I want to look above the players. I want to look at the board. I want to look at the Glazer family. Now, as we know, Manchester United fans, we are always told every time something goes wrong, United point the fingers to the Glazer family. It's the Glazers' fault why Onana let the ball run between his hands last night. It's the Glazers' fault why Marcus Rashford isn't pressing. It's the Glazers' fault why we have 12 first-team injuries. Ultimately, that isn't what their fault is. That isn't what they're guilty of in this situation. I think it does stop and end with the Glazer family. I think everything comes from the top down. It sets an atmosphere. It creates the environment of incompetence, of caring about the profits, about caring about the brand. There's a lack of ambition from the Glazer family. They don't care about winning. I've said many times before on various live streams, the Glazer family realised a long time ago that there is as much money to be made finishing top 4 as there would be finishing as the champions of the Premier League from winning trophies. They've never cared about the ambition of this club. And look, I'm not going to sit and rant on and on about the Glazer family. There's nothing I can really say that hasn't already been said by myself or by the various other Manchester United content creators across the last 10 years. I think a big issue at this football club, it's the board. It's the guys calling the shots. I think Richard Arnold, I think John Murda are horrendously incompetent in their job roles. I think Richard Arnold has spoke a big game, but what has he really changed at Manchester United? He said he would not be like Ed Woodward. I don't notice any real difference. John Murda, of course, the director of football, completely incompetent, completely has no idea what he's doing, in my opinion. And I think the facts speak for themselves. I think when we look at CEOs in Richard Arnold and director of football in John Murda turning up last year, not once but twice, to Barcelona to try buy Frankie de Jong, not getting the deal done, although it was abundantly clear to everybody involved that it still was never going to happen. I think that's a big, big issue. And I think it does highlight, it's only one example, but it highlights the level of incompetency that we're seeing. Every single time Manchester United made a signing across this summer, John Murda, the newspapers were singing his press, the Manchester Evening News were talking about what a brilliant deal he had done getting Mason Mount for more than his value with a year left on his contract. We're getting Onana for 45 million, although he went to Inter Milan about a year and a half ago on a free. For bringing in Rasmus Højlund after months of negotiation to spend 72 million pounds on a prospect who might be something special, but there's no guarantee of it. I think the culture of ineptitude at Manchester United, it really does stem deep. And I think when we look at the lack of support system around Erik Ten Hag, I think that's a big cause for concern. When we see the leaks coming out from the inside, from the directors, from the scouts, from the recruitment side of this team, saying that Sofyan Amrabat will not succeed at United. They never thought he was good enough, but Ten Hag wanted him. I think that's a big cause for concern. Have a gut. Have a spine, have some backbone in your decision making. If you don't think Sofyan Amrabat's going to work out, you don't get that player. Even Pep Guardiola at Man City has went after players and they didn't sign them. He wanted Maguire, he wanted Fred, for instance. Those are two clear examples of that. If you genuinely feel like the signing is not going to work out, that the player isn't good enough, you've got to stand up, you've got to take responsibility, you've got to say, Eric, I just don't think it's the one. And you move on to the next target. That's what you do. But I think the entire culture of this club from top to bottom, it is rotten. Man City spending more than us after winning a treble, I think screams of a club who are just happy to be there and hopefully get a top 5 finish and hopefully get into the Champions League next season. That's what I think the big objective is. And this sale can't come soon enough, and I think even the sale itself is a real issue at Manchester United. Big decisions kicked down the road because the directors, the guys running the show, think We're going to be replaced if a new regime comes in. Why did we take so long to make a decision on Mason Greenwood? Why did Richard Arnold seemingly make his call to bring him back, only to turn round a couple of days later, after finding out public reaction, and then cancel the whole thing, put him out on loan? I think that, from the top bottom, it shows a weak leader of Manchester United in CEO Richard Arnold, in the way we make decision making. Ultimately, I think we can blame everything. I think we can look at the Glazer family. I think we can look at the board, the manager, the players, the coaches, the recruitment, the scouts, the youth academy. I think you can point fingers at just about everything at Manchester United. And if it was one easy fix, then I think we would have made it by now. But I do genuinely believe if sacking the manager is what they choose to go for, then we're just going to be found in the exact same loop we have been in for the last 10 years. Sack the manager, get some quick bounce back results. Everything starts to go wrong for the manager because there's no squad, there's no structure around him, there isn't an environment for him to succeed, and that's what I think the issue is. Sure. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments as always, and thanks very much for listening to me ranting and getting all the feelings out after yet another defeat. Hopefully the Burnley match will be better at the weekend. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, like, comment and subscribe if you guys are new. We're very close to 2k subs, so thanks so much for all the support, and I will see you guys in the next one.